Talo forever guys, welcome back to another episode here on our channel, Samoan Farmer. I hope you guys are doing well. Thank you for tuning in and checking out our channel as usual. Just wanted to start off our episode. So this is one of our first Q&A episodes that we've got lined up. And as I did tell you guys, we would have our first one at the end of August. So this is our first Q&A episode where I talk with you guys about stuff you'd like to know, questions you'd like to get answered, and maybe I can help answer out those. So remember, in our community tab, we have our questions, our Q&A posts, and that's where I usually post. But we also have our social media accounts now. So we're now on Facebook, on Instagram, and on Twitter. So find us there at Samoan Farmer or Samoan Farmer on YouTube. So hook up with us on our social media accounts, where I'll be mostly spending my time on those accounts, and on YouTube will be probably twice a week when we do our uploads. So hope you guys enjoy today's episode. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share our channel. Let's get to it. So our first question on the Q&A post on our community tab was our first and only questions. Maybe next time we'll do better. But our first question and only question was, where is Wati? So as you know, Wati was an integral and very important part of our farming here, operations here in Samoa, and here on our farm. But Wati wanted to pursue his family, uh, start up his own family. Excuse me. And we didn't want to hold him back, so we had to tell Wati that if he wants to go, then he's fine to go. So that's why Wati is no longer in our episodes, but he's been an important part. I do see him here and there around town, so we wish him all the best. And yeah, that's why Wati's no longer with us. So yeah, that was our only question on our channel. So I'll be using most of this episode to go through some of the stuff that I've learned, being a farmer here in Samoa, and hopefully help you guys out. And maybe if you're a farmer yourself, make sure to comment down below on how you can help me out. Because I'm quite a young farmer, so I'm still learning and getting on, growing as I go. But I'd really appreciate the knowledge that you guys can share with me. So yeah, let's get started on my experience. I wanted to take up farming because I saw that farming was an important part of life for any Samoan. So I wanted to try it out, and when I did try it out, I was actually quite surprised. um, you know the one thing I always saw was that farmers always had cash on their hands, like no matter what. Like, so you'd be like, for me, I am a government employee, and I saw that I couldn't make ends meet, from one pay week to another pay week, and it was quite difficult. But it was quite astonishing to me that farmers always had cash on their hands. So that's one, but not the main, but one of the reasons why I actually took up farming, here in Samoa, and wanted to give it a go, was that most of the farmers always had cash on their hands, and they were always able to provide. And that's the reason why I wanted to try it out. And it was quite evident when we started doing our harvesting. We'd have average about 700 to $1,000 a week, during our harvest. So that was quite an eye-opening reality for me. But I wanted to go back when I actually started out my journey with farming here in Samoa. So I don't actually come from a background of farming, and it was quite difficult trying to learn, how to do plantations, how to grow taro, how to raise a cattle farm, all of these different stuff. So it was quite difficult for me. But one of the main reasons that kept on pushing me was the fact that I really wanted to learn, and I wanted to know more about what I'm doing and stuff. So especially with farming. So you believe it or not, I actually knew nothing about growing taro. Like, I didn't even know, like, the different types of taro, which part of the taro did you grow. So it's quite, it was quite, I wouldn't say shameful, but it was quite sad, because being a Samoan, the Samoans are farmers, and also fishermen, and they're people of the land. So I quite felt ashamed of myself that I couldn't, I didn't have the knowledge. So this is why I came to my wife's family, and then started, um, associating myself with farmers. I'd always go with my brother-in-law, and I'd always see the farm techniques that they were doing. I always listened to the elders and stuff and how they do their farms, and along the way I just sort of picked up on the way the knowledge of how to do taro farming. So I think another important resource I found was there was a lot of resource on the internet, especially from Hawaii. So that's where most of, and being an academic person myself, I do a lot of research. So a lot of the stuff I found was actually from the universities in Hawaii, which really helped me out in my journey in the beginning. So um, that knowledge, and also the traditional knowledge from the people that I was working with, the seasoned farmers, the ones that are actually still doing farming, really helped out speed um, the way I went about with my plantations and stuff. So that's a bit of the beginning of my journey. And yeah. So another interesting question I do remember now on the top of out of the top of my head was how come I speak English so good? So surprisingly, I did go to school. I made it all the way up to university, and that's where I learned most of my English from. And yeah, and that's the reason, part of the reason why when I started the channel, I was trying to think whether I should do it in Samoan or in English, but I thought, in Samoan, Samoan people would understand, but in English, you'd capture, a larger audience and stuff. So that's the reason why we did it in English. So I hope you guys enjoy the fact that I do it in English, and I do see a lot of the comments that you guys enjoyed the fact that the channel, it's done in English. So there are times where I get confused a bit because it's hard to translate some of the Samoan words into English, but I hope you guys appreciate the fact that I do try. So yeah. Oh, and special shout out to Langi Lele. Thank you for the donation that you made on our channel. I really appreciate it, guys. As I said before, I'm always quite hesitant when people donate for the channel because I don't want to seem like I'm trying to get money from people, but watching, liking, commenting, subscribing is more than enough. So when you guys do donate, I do feel really humble because I know that it's hard and difficult wherever you may be, especially with the cost of living and the high prices of things. So even giving $1 is quite difficult. So I do appreciate the fact that you guys give for the channel. And funnily enough, the donation you guys do give really helps me out. So helps me out make with the salary of the workers, petrol in the car, all of these different things. So I really appreciate the donation you guys make on the channel. All right, so just a bit of an update on our car. So I was at my mechanic today, and we're just talking back and forth. So there's quite a few problems now. So we've actually bashed well, not bashed, but yeah, technically we did bash it out. The DPF is out of the car now, so we're trying to see if the car would run. So we found a few problems in the front. We found a split intercooler hose. We found that the EGR valve was actually stuck because of the built-up of carbon, and most of the intake manifolds were actually built up with carbon. So a lot of cleaning to do, and also we suspect that the diesel pump is now busted as well because of the dirty fuel. So we're actually trying to source a fuel pump, a diesel fuel pump for the Triton, an intake hose, and we're still in the talks now with. I'm talking to some of the people in Australia who's really helped out. You know who you are. Thanks for helping me out. That's we've been talking on because the DPF will still be on the ECU for the vehicle, so it's quite difficult to run the vehicle with the vehicle thinking it still has a DPF. So I think we might need a DPF and ECU remap just to tell the the car that there's no longer a DPF, and we might have to bypass the EGR. So there's quite a lot of stuff going on. Total cost is probably going to get up to 10 grand Samoan, so I don't have that kind of cash. So we're just trying to look at our options as it's greatly affecting our farm operations at the moment. But yeah, that's a little update on our vehicle. So I want to now go into the startup of the farm. So what it took to start it up, and how was it. So Um, I've got a friend that's messaging me named Jonah Kraus. A special shout out to him who would also like, you know, to know this. So this portion is for you and for anyone who's interested in this. So starting up the farm was quite difficult for me because the main thing we needed was cash, and I luckily had saved up about a little over 12, 13 grand in savings over 4 years, 4 to 5 years. So that was my startup capital to get the farm moving. So that included things such as, you know, cutting the access road, um, the workers, the tiapula, the labor, like the labor costs, you know, to get the plantation to where it is now. So that was quite a lot of money that went into it. Our sales that we finished, so we started harvesting in March, February, the beginning of March up until July, and we made. I calculated the amount of sales that we made was roughly almost 13 grand, 14 grand. So I think it was like break even, but that we were being quite generous with the way we did our taro bundles. So I think we could have done better, but that's, you know, that's the reason why you do it, is so that you learn from it. So yeah, I think the startup it was quite expensive because the land was quite large, and even up to now we still haven't covered up most of the land. We haven't utilized most of the land, so we're mostly rotating now within the area that we've cleared. And yeah, so if we do plan to move further with our clearing the land, that's going to cost, you know, it's going to, because they're quite large trees, so it's actually it might cost a little bit more, but you're looking around that area. So yeah, that's one of the thing that some of you guys wanted to know, was the startup cost. So that was, I think that's the startup cost for about 10 acres, because that's the estimated amount of land that I'm working on at the moment, that we're working on. So yeah, also another important thing to remember is, because we also have a cattle farm at the moment, so that's another thing that's another added cost, you know, getting the water, you know, diesel and stuff. So, and also the fencing for the cattle farm. We were quite fortunate because we were successful in our application. So there was one of the projects called the SAFPROM project, which was by the Ministry of Agriculture, and we were one of the successful applicants. So we received about over 20,000 tala in goods and items for agriculture, and those included steel posts, chainsaws, herbicides, chemicals and stuff, you know, machetes, and barbed wire fencing, and also tiapula. So that was also tiapula was also covered in that. So that really helped us with cost as well, because that project was really helped us boost our production as well as the scale of what we were doing. So yeah, I think all in all, you know, it is profitable if you do it right, and you cut down costs. So going into it now, again, I've actually learned a lot more, and one of the things I've learned is diversifying your earnings. I mean, your, not only your earnings but your investments. So I've now set up, there's an account with there's a organization called UTOS, which is the Unit Trust of Samoa, that I did sign up with and create an account with them. And basically what they do is that you give them your money to invest, and they'll do all the investing for. So there's a team of experts with them, and they'll help to diversify your portfolio so that your money is invested well. So, you know, thinking back, you know, I wish I could have started off earlier with investing. You know, invested a portion of my savings straight to UTOS, and another portion of it into my agriculture, and you know, but most of it went straight into the agriculture, and as a result, you know, we broke even. But I could have had something else, you know, had another portion of my savings working at the moment, and you know, by UTOS and that. So I think I've got a very good, we've got a collaboration coming up with UTOS, so I'm very excited to show you guys that once it does come out. And it's because I want to show you guys that, you know, farming doesn't have to be difficult anymore. I mean, if you know how to do it right, and you know how to do it not only right, but try and minimize the risks involved with farming. I mean, you can actually make a good amount of money. So another thing I'd like to talk about is our YouTube channel. So why did I start on YouTube? So basically, when I started my journey, I had absolutely no knowledge of how to do taro planting and farming here in Samoa. So, you know, being our generation, it's always straight to the internet. I was actually on YouTube. So this was like 2 years ago. Yeah, 2 years ago. And actually found a channel, and shout out to that channel, Life on the Rock and New Way. That channel I really enjoyed that channel. It's part of the motivation that got me going to start a YouTube channel, because I want people of my generations and the younger generations that are coming up in farming, that want to take up farming, to have that resource where they can look to help out their journey as well, because it's quite difficult when all of the farmers, you have an average age for a farmer here in Samoa being around 60. Sorry about that, guys. I think my hand motions actually stopped the camera, but yeah, so it's quite difficult when you have the average age of Samoan farmers being 50 towards 60 years old, and those guys aren't really, they're not the type to share knowledge, because most of the time they're always working on their plantations and farm, and the only way to get that knowledge is to actually go with them, be associated with them. So our generations and the younger generations that are coming up will be using the internet a lot more often, and I predict that YouTube will be an extremely important resource in the coming future. So that's why I opted to do a YouTube channel, was to not only help my generation, but also the younger generations that are coming up, having that resource of a farmer, going through it, helping them, help guide them through the different processes. That's gonna be invaluable to them. So that's the reason why I did YouTube, and I really appreciate that everyone has enjoyed the channel so far. And that's part of the reason why I keep saying, like, comment, subscribe, share our channel, is just to help the channel grow so that it can inspire more people. Funny story, I actually met up, I think this is the third person I've met up with last week, but this is like throughout this whole year, I've been meeting up with people who've been really inspired by the YouTube channel that we've made, and they want to take up farming as well. And that was the whole goal of it, was to document my journey, and hopefully it motivates someone else, and inspire someone else. So it's really good to see people, thinking of farming, to take up farming, because it actually not only, revives, farming here in Samoa, because it feels like it's a forgotten, you know, a forgotten what do you call, forgotten job or forgotten source of income for Samoans, when farming and agriculture was actually the most important sector for Samoa after its independence. Most of the income generated and the revenue collected by the governments then was actually from farming. So that's part of the reason why I wanted to take up farming as well, was to just know that you have that knowledge of farming, and the benefits of farming and all that stuff. So I'm really happy that it does inspire people, and a lot of people have reached out to me, and I've also tried to help them as much as I can. But guys, remember that I do have a family, I've got kids, I've got a job, so if I do reply a bit late, please forgive me, okay? All right, so we're gonna get into some of the risks involved with farming, and some of the disadvantages, or I wouldn't say disadvantages, but just some stuff to be mindful. In the time that I've carried out taro farming here in Samoa, two of the main damages to the crop, especially taro, are roaming cows and pigs. So that's two of the main pests on the farm that actually damage the damage the taro. Roaming cows and pigs, wild pigs, because they actually not only stomp on the cows stomp on the taro, but the pigs actually eat the corn. And the sad thing about the pigs is that they only eat the portion that's on top of the soil. Excuse me, guys. Excuse me. So they only eat the bit that's on top of the soil, but they don't eat the whole taro. So you've got a whole taro wasted, and that's why I'm also looking into ways of some, probably utilizing that as well, so that's not wasted. But that is the main problem here in Samoa with taro plantations are cows and pigs. Thieves, well, not necessarily because they're usually occasions they do come, but the majority of the problems actually come from pigs and cows. Another thing to be mindful of is that Samoa is quite low on laborers at the moment because of the RSE scheme going on. So that's where most of the laborers travel to work on farms in New Zealand and Australia. Um, as a result, the labor force or the actual strong people in your villages are actually gone now. So it's quite difficult. But I've worked my way around that. So I've been working together with seasoned farmers around that age, 50 to 60, who've been helping me out plant most of the taro. So um, that's another thing to be mindful of in case you do want to start a plantation but can't find laborers. It's because they're in New Zealand or in Australia at the moment. Um, Another thing to keep in mind is you need someone to help you. You can never do it alone because it's a very very difficult and labor intensive job. So I advise. So luckily for me, I had Uncle and Wati that have been helping me on the farm, but Uncle has been looking after most of the operations and stuff, while I handle the other stuff. With the financing and logistics. So get someone you trust and someone you can rely on to help you on the farm, so that they can take care of that side while you take care of the other stuff. So I highly recommend that getting someone to go with, to work in pairs, so that way you can always have that trust and someone you trust, because that trust actually helps out a lot with building that relationship as a team working on it. So that's another thing to be mindful of. Some other things, whew, on the top of my head, I think that's the main stuff, at the moment. Taro has increased in price, so it's about $30 a bundle. We also sell the cooked, so there's been a lot of pop-up cooked taro and coconut cream, falifu. And those guys, they've actually the price of those has increased like by 50%. So they actually cost $10 2 3 years ago. Now they cost $15. And the sad thing about it is that the amount of taro inside those have actually decreased. So they used to be like huge bundles like this. I mean, like they used to be wrapped in foil, but they'd be like this big. So that would have like 3 4 taros that's been sliced up. Now you've only get like taros like this inside, and there'd be 4 or 5. You can barely, like, it's quite shocking. You expect farmers to help bring down the cost of living, but it's actually, things have gotten a lot worse now. If you think about it, um you know with the taro prices going up, bananas gone up, tamu's gone up, vegetables has slowly decreased in price, but there are other vegetables that you don't want to buy because it's just, for example, pumpkins. I told you guys about, there was a pumpkin I tried to buy, like the size of my fist, and it was $20. Like, who would want to buy it? The whole purpose of farming is to help bring down the cost of living. But if I mean, I don't I understand why farmers put the prices up, is because even the cost to grow these and to keep it in a state where it's good for consumption by people is quite expensive. So it sort of justifies the cost, but it's quite difficult if you've got a high inflation in your country. Sorry about that. Again, my hand movements actually stopped the camera. So it's quite difficult when you've got a high inflation, and your country imports a lot of the stuff from overseas to eat. So things such as rice, chicken, and at the same time, you can't live with the cost of the farmers that are pushing their goods as well. So, it doesn't balance each other out. If we're trying to be, if we're trying to do import substitution, you know by relying on our local goods, we have to encourage the farmers to actually bring down the cost of their stuff. But at the same time, you got to feel for the farmers as well. So I'm very fortunate that I have the perspective of the farmer and the consumer at the same time. But yeah, it doesn't help the purpose we're all trying to achieve. So yeah, that's something to keep in mind. as well here in Samoa. Sorry guys, it's raining now, and this is my office is actually under the trees, so I don't have a proper place to record this, which is why I chose under the trees, which is quite far away from the kids, and at the same time I can get a peaceful place where I can record. But it's actually raining right now, so I think I might have to cut out soon, and then finish it off somewhere. But guys, if you've enjoyed this channel and you'd like to see more of this type of videos coming up, please comment down below. Share with me as much as you can what you guys think about what we've talked about today, how my experiences and maybe your experience, how you can help me as well, with farming and stuff. What is your knowledge, what is your perspective? Comment down below, guys. Give the video a thumbs up, share our channel and share our videos. And yeah guys, really appreciate, can't stress enough how much I really appreciate you guys watching our channel and the growth that we've had. Really humbling me as a person, as a content creator, because I'd love to do this more often, because I love to share. Honestly guys, I love sharing, and the fact that it's received well is really inspiring me to do more. So really thank you guys for the support that you've given on the channel, and I really appreciate it. So if you want to see more of this, please comment down below. If not, I'm going to post up our Q&A post in our community tabs for September, so make sure to check that out and post the questions there. If not, you can post it in our comments below, and we can go from there. So but I think I'm going to sign out now because it's raining and I've only got one phone to sustain this channel. So guys, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share our channel, and we'll hopefully see you on the next episode. Until then, God bless, stay safe, take care, see you.